Hey, and welcome back everyone to another feature in the Interactive Shorts video series focused on ways of making your class more interactive. So if you've been watching this video series, I've been talking quite a bit about the idea of having physical components in your class when you're running a Zoom session. So this is almost trying to mimic what students would experience in a traditional class, and whether you're teaching DE or EVE, and if you're using Zoom primarily for lectures or class discussions, using any number of these techniques I think could be really effective in terms of bringing your students out. In particular, bringing them into the class such that they're willing to turn on their cameras and actually engage with your class. So the specific technique today is to consider using something like this. It's a prize wheel. So you're familiar with the prize wheel in that it allows you in back to school nights or carnivals or things like that you might set up in your community or in a school. It allows someone to win a prize. But in a classroom setting, you can actually use it in a way to randomize questions for either an icebreaker or some sort of activity in your class. And you could even use this to decide which students might be in a particular breakout room if you're working on setting up discussion groups in your class. So you would need to purchase the prize wheel, and I'll show you here. Originally, I got a larger one. And this one was really well made, but as you'll see in this video, it was super large. And so I thought this is just going to take up too much room in my already pretty cluttered office. So I went ahead and returned that one and got this one instead. And I'm going to put this up on the screen just so you can see on Amazon some of your options. They range, typically they're around like the $20 or $30 mark. You can go even higher. The thing I would recommend is think of something very high quality to have. If you get something very cheap, you almost need metal parts for the stand and also for probably some of these parts here. There's a little bit of assembly required, but it's pretty easy to use. What I like about this one is that it includes a number of different covers, so I can switch this out with different types of covers depending on the activity or depending on the feedback that I'm looking for. And what you would do then, and I'll also put these up on Amazon so you can see, these are markers, but they're really good erasable markers. So some of the cheaper ones, you might find the contrast or the resolution of them is not going to be good enough to see, for your students to see the wheel as it spins and the text on the wheel. So what you would do is you would write, of course, I don't have to explain it, but you would write your prompt or whatever question or concept you want in one of these spaces, and then you spin that wheel. And I could do a better job spinning it here. Sorry, I'm just trying to... What I was going to recommend, though, is you would have this on a table. Okay, so you would place this on a table. So anything like a tray table or a laptop stand would work. You could also put it on a desk. Keep in mind that if you're going to hold it up, that's going to take some figuring out in terms of your camera. If you have a second camera set up, it'd be very easy to set your second USB camera up. Somewhere in the vicinity of the camera, you could point it on there and then just use your zoom switch to switch to that camera, and then the students will be able to see the wheel spinning. So if I do a better spin here, you see this has pretty good action, so you can get hopefully decent randomization. And the fact that you hear a sound, and some of these include different stoppers that allow you to get different sounds if you want it noisier or less noisy. So you would just put your prompts or questions on here, spin it, and then the students would watch, and of course they would either answer the question on there, they would go into a discussion group based on what this chooses, and again, really anything on here you could put as a question, as an icebreaker. I'm actually thinking of using an upcoming podcast and videocast I'm going to be doing, where I thought if the people I'm interviewing get a little shy or we run out of things to talk about, this will be waiting, in the wings basically. I'll have some preset topics based on the interview that I'm doing with that person, kind of tailor it to that content or the context that they're talking about. And then if things get slow, I'll have my second camera, spin this wheel, and then the questions will come up. And it's kind of just a fun way to get interaction going, and people almost don't even think that you're using something that's almost forced and a bit artificial, but yet it can, I think, lead to some really great interaction among the participants in your workshop, in your Zoom session for your class, and so forth. So if you have any questions about prize wheels, reach out, and I think they're another good opportunity for you to create a little more interaction in your class. The fact that you're doing something visual, it's a physical thing you're holding and moving, it might allow those students in your class who normally don't have their cameras on to actually flip their cameras on and participate in an activity. So consider using a prize wheel in your Zoom class, in your Zoom workshop in the future, and I'll be back with more videos in this Interactive Shorts video series.